Alright, in the vast majority of cases, I can keep a pretty cool head while watching mixed martial arts. As a former MMA journalist, the whole idea of remaining impartial had been paramount to my aims for the majority of my career. But now that I've found the free waters that are MMA YouTube, I'd like to kick off this video by saying that I'm absolutely thrilled that Rose Namajunas managed to reclaim her title. I'm a big fan of Weili Zhang, and pegged her as a prospect to watch even before she had signed for the UFC. But when the time came for these two strawweight greats to face off, I was so completely in Rose's corner that I almost surprised myself. But look, that's my fanboying out of the way, so let's get into the video. So Rose Namajunas, by capturing the 115-pound title, managed to pull off a feat that has evaded every former champ in the history of women's MMA within the UFC. And when you stop and think about it, there have been a lot of former champs within these four divisions that have fallen flat in their attempt to do the same. But anyway, Rose went in there and pulled it off in insanely impressive fashion. After a short feeling out process, a swift leg kick feint that went high brought Zhang down immediately. As Rose moved in to close the show, the referee Keith Peterson called it off there and then. On a night filled to the brim with spectacular and some ways shocking finishes, that was certainly right up there. Rose has always been a sneakily effective technician in the striking department, but I'd imagine that even she was surprised to see that kick come off as well as it did. Now, to put the Namajunas fan in me to one side, I do wonder about Zhang after that insane matchup with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, after all of that damage she absorbed. Maybe it's not that relevant here. Perhaps the kick was simply that accurate. As they say, it's the strikes you don't see coming that hurt you the most. But I wanted to at least bring it up just to give you fair perspective. All in all, Rose once again did a wonderful job at confusing her opponent with her timing, mixing up her rhythm before capitalizing in deadly fashion. And with that, the most talent-rich division in women's MMA has a new champion, a familiar champion who finally looks ready to attempt to carve out a reign as queen. If you're enjoying this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads, before leaving a comment to let YouTube's algorithms know that we're fast becoming one of the best MMA channels on the platform. Because as much as it was thrilling to watch Rose beat the former champion Joanna Jędrzejczyk over 2 fights to establish her first run as champion, it genuinely did seem as though her desire to compete was dwindling in the wake of her horrific slam KO defeat at the hands of Jessica Andrade. That fight was such an oddity and in many ways, a truly unfortunate way to lose your belt. And I think with that harrowing loss in mind, I wanted to draw attention to one of the major talking points that has surrounded Rose's career. Through various comments over the years, and in particular, her reaction to the infamous UFC 223 Media Day bus incident involving Conor McGregor, there has been this narrative circulating that Rose is mentally weak, or at the very least, that she doesn't have the fortitude or the mental toughness to make it long-term as a fighter. Now personally, I think this narrative has been rubbish since day one. People put a lot of stock into what these fighters say in front of a camera. Most fighters will put on a strong, stern face, speaking of their strengths without any mentions of their fears, their insecurities, or any of the very real aspects of being a high-level cage fighter under the glare of the public eye. Rose has a level of transparency to her that I've always admired. Though she highlights her struggles, those fears and reservations always seem to be left off to one side when she fights. It's how she was able to see past Joanna's attempts to get in her head at UFC 217. It's why she was able to rise to her challenge and go to war in the rematch. It's the reason she was able to regroup after suffering such a brutal defeat to lose her title against Jessica Andrade in a fight she was comfortably winning. And it's the reason she has become the first female fighter to ever recapture their belt having lost it. If Namajunas is mentally weak, it hasn't shown in her performances. So let's put that narrative to bed, shall we? If anything, Rose deserves to be commended for her mentality, commended for the way she spoke candidly about her problems, dealt with them, and returned to knock the champion out in the first round. Because at this point, I fully believe that Rose Namajunas is the greatest 115-pound fighter of all time. She has lost, make no mistake, but given that she came into the UFC with the birth of the strawweight division, it was only natural that it would take time, both for her to grow into herself as a fighter, and for the division to find its rhythm. I know Joanna holds the most impressive title reign by some distance, beating out 5 different challengers before losing her belt. But when I look at Rose's resume and I see Joanna listed twice, along with that first round stoppage of Weili Zhang, her rematch victory over Jessica Andrade, that brutal finish of Michelle Waterson, her mauling of Paige Van Zandt, I think Rose's high points are higher than any other fighter in strawweight history, and I think she has the potential to rule this division for a considerable spell of time. 115 pounds is strong, of that there is no doubt, And next up, I would certainly like to see Rose take on the winner of Carla Esparza and Yan Xiaonan, so we can establish some rhythm in the weight class's top flight. But yeah, I've been sold on Namajunas' merits as a great fighter for some years now, and I think Saturday night proved to me that she is of a different caliber than a lot of people had thought. But what do you think the future holds for Rose Namajunas and her attempt to carve out a long reign atop the 115-pound division? And do you agree that through her victories over Ioana Jędrzejczyk and now Weili Zhang, she has done enough to be considered the greatest strawweight of all time? Do let us know in the comments section below. We always love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and a comment before subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.